Disney CEO Bob Iger has expressed his disappointment at the backlash to the new live-action Snow White film, saying, "We thought that this film was going to be a really magical experience for people, but to hear that our core audience of 50-year-old Republican men called Jerry don't like it has been devastating."
Look, I don't really like the term woke. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Bob Iger is furious, and the reason is Rachel Zegler. From the moment she was cast as Snow White, the internet was divided. Disney was already facing criticism for making the remake a DEI-driven project, and the backlash began long before any footage was shown. But instead of easing tensions, Rachel Zegler made things worse. Her interviews and social media comments caused massive damage. She mocked the original Snow White, called the prince a stalker, and dismissed the classic story as outdated. Fans noticed, turned against the film, and the controversy only grew louder. Disney executives were stunned. What was supposed to be a fresh take on a beloved film became a PR disaster. Now, Bob Iger is in damage control mode, watching one of Disney's most iconic brands collapse. The impact isn't just bad press, it's costing Disney millions. Snow White opened to just $43 million in the US and $87 million worldwide, despite a budget exceeding $350 million. In its second weekend, ticket sales dropped over 66%, and the losses keep mounting. Insiders say Iger is furious because Rachel didn't stick to the studio's planned messaging. They wanted to focus on visuals, nostalgia, and the cast, but she kept making it about rewriting the story, insulting the original, and alienating Disney's core audience. Now, Iger's public statements sound desperate, blaming the backlash on false narratives and politics. But behind the scenes, it's clear, this isn't about culture wars. The studio backed the wrong person, and she took the movie down with her. Now, Disney is scrambling to fix a disaster that might be beyond saving.
It's just so forced and useless. It's not faithful to the original, but it's also not different enough to be a creative reimagining. And the new approach to the character isn't the revolutionary feminist icon that Disney keeps thinking that they're making.
And seriously, don't overdo it. Don't give me a 30-minute backstory about this random character. Literally just drop them in the movie, maybe give them like one or two big moments in the movie, and then after that, you can see what the audience feels about that character, and if they like the character, then I'm pretty sure they won't have a problem with some kind of spinoff or something. I mean, from the looks of things, people are tired of y'all ruining movies. Focus on making great movies, and maybe throw some original and some new movies in there as well. People have been waiting for a Static Shock movie for a long time. Get it done.
I want to say something about this, but it's not what you think it's going to be. Don't look at me all judgy. This movie is such a big bomb, Ukraine could drop it on Russia and just end the whole thing. I want to talk about why this and why so many of Disney's other live-action remakes just tank at the box office. Now, this is just my opinion. I think I speak for a lot of people about this. I could be wrong, let me know. And it has nothing to do with it going woke or having the message. When you say you're going to make a live-action remake, we want a live-action remake. Not a reimagining, not a retelling. We want what made us feel so magical in 2D animation to come to life, so we can feel like we're really immersing ourselves in that world that we love so much. But for some reason, Disney doesn't understand that.
This is one of Disney's worst reviewed films of all time. Here's the problem. The movie ends with what viewers are calling some sort of random Diddy white party, and the casting has annoyed a lot of people. But Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, describes critics as losers obsessed with maintaining bloodline purity of cartoon princesses. And certain roles, they use CGI instead of hiring actors. Despite costing $250 million to make, the London premiere was cancelled, and no outside press were allowed to attend the LA premiere, just to stop questions being asked they didn't want to answer. But the reviews have not held back. IMDb, 2.3 out of 10. They ended up freezing and deleting votes. And for the opening night, many cinemas were empty. Disney believes Snow White, created in 1937, was far too outdated, and they wanted to put their modern twist on it. In short, changing the iconic story to try and please more people. But it looks like it's completely backfired. The original Snow White became the highest grossing sound movie of all time. 4 billion in 90 years. But their modern remake is currently on 16 million on its opening weekend. In comparison, the Lion King remake made 192 million on its opening weekend. So Disney might lose quite a bit of money on Snow White.
We've recently gotten criticism, as you just expressed, for what some perceive to be agenda-driven content. And I'm sensitive to that, actually. Our primary mission needs to be to entertain, and then through our entertainment to continue to have a positive impact on the world. And I'm very serious about that. It should not be agenda-driven. It should be entertainment-driven.
So the live version of Snow White has officially made its way to the big screen. And let me tell y'all this. Most people will not be watching this damn movie. At least not in the United States. Now, you may be thinking what I was thinking, which is, well, it's likely because of the off-putting, divisive comments that she made about more than half of this country when she said, if you voted for Orange Man bad, I hope you never find rest, which to me kind of sounds like a threat. Okay? So that right there would be enough for most people to just not want to watch the movie.
Disney CEO Bob Iger was already on the defensive before Snow White hit theaters, avoiding controversy and dodging questions. Now that the film is out, the backlash is even worse. The numbers are in and they're brutal. Snow White made just $86.1 million worldwide on opening weekend, while Disney spent around $370 million on production and marketing. That's not a small loss. That's a catastrophe, and it's unfolding under Iger's leadership. During Disney's Q4 earnings call, Iger talked about Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, and Disney Plus growth. But one thing was missing: Snow White. This marks the second quarter in a row where the film was completely ignored in investor calls. No mention, no confidence, no explanation, just silence. The problems didn't start at the box office. The trailers received overwhelming dislikes. Zegler's negative comments about the original film and her political statements angered audiences, and fans lost interest long before the movie was released. Its box office flop only confirmed what many already knew: this was going to cost Disney millions. While Iger tried to shift focus to Hulu and cruise line profits, analysts pointed out growing concerns. Disney's theme park numbers are soft, and Universal's upcoming Epic Universe in Orlando is a major threat. But Iger avoided the topic. When asked about Disney's ideological direction, he dodged. When questioned about a $12 billion loss in India, the CFO admitted that Disney's revenue growth came mainly from price hikes, not new customers. Then came the awkward hot mic moment. Iger accidentally revealed streaming data he wasn't supposed to, summing up the entire call: defensive, tense, and uncomfortable. The meeting ended abruptly. Behind the scenes, Disney is in survival mode, dodging, spinning, and pretending Snow White doesn't exist. But the backlash is real, the financial losses are undeniable, and Rachel Zegler's controversies are dragging Disney even deeper into trouble.
Let's talk about Snow White. It's on course to become Disney's worst performing live action remake. It opened in theaters with $43 million at the box office, which is not the figure that Disney was hoping for after splashing $250 million on the film.
The reason I think a lot of people aren't going to see it is because she hates 2/3 of this country, or 60% of this country, and has posted as such. Everyone seems to be throwing in the face of, YouTubers saying, like, why are you so mad about this thing that happened 3 or 4 years ago? She called over half the country garbage humans, like 3 months ago.
How shall we say? Data points are in, because we now know that it was a flop.
Why have you not seen any advertising for Disney's new Snow White film? If you compare it to other live-action princess films like Cinderella, Little Mermaid, it's fair to say that the studio has gone pretty low-key when it comes to Snow White.
First and foremost, I got a 2.3 out of 10 rating on IMDb, which is the lowest ever for a Disney princess movie.
And if you truly can't help yourself and you gotta spice it up a little bit, instead of changing everything about a beloved character, why don't you introduce a new character? Somebody that's gonna be low impact, that won't change the outcome of the movie too much.
I was disappointed in what I was seeing, both during the transition period when I was still there and while I was out. But I really worked hard at distancing myself from it because, one, I couldn't do anything about it. And in a way, it wasn't my business at all, really. It was his business to run. And I was not happy with what I was seeing. I worked hard to build the company into what it was over that long period of time. I was proud of those accomplishments. It hurts when something that you've put your heart and soul into and that you care about so much is going through a difficult.
The never-ending saga of Rachel Zegler continues, and this time, Disney's CEO has officially stepped in, shutting her down in what might be the end of her career. From her controversial comments about the original Snow White to her divisive political views, Zegler has faced backlash not just from fans, but also from celebrities and public figures. Now, the question is, how did it come to this? Let's break it down.
I got another example of it. Now, this person is not a politician and she's not a newscaster, but she's pretty famous and she's been in the news for bad things over the past couple of years as far as the right half of the country is concerned. Her name is Rachel Zegler. Zegler? I don't know. Zegler. Okay. There's something wrong with this person. She's also known as the star of Snow White and the Disney movie. Remember, she was out like a couple years ago being like, there's certainly not going to be a prince rescuing me. I can tell you that. And then even Disney got on its heels and they're like, we're going to reshoot the movie immediately. Like we're going to make some changes because there was so much backlash to her arrogance and just inanity. Well, she's back and she's very, very upset about the Trump win. Okay. This is a post she made on X. Here's what she posted. And by the way, she's starring right now in Broadway's Romeo and Juliet, so don't go see that. Okay. She writes, I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in, leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. P.S. She has no daughter. She has no children at all. Leading us towards a world that will force her, who's her, your daughter who doesn't exist, okay, to have a baby she doesn't want.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet. So I understand. You know,
is she the one that's on the cover of Cosmo with the cover story authored by Jack Antonoff?
I don't know. I just know of her stupid statements in the news.
Look this up.
Yeah. So the reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is that's number one.
You called her a pig?
She's a pig. I know, I'm harsh. Sometimes I really
She's
get
a young girl.
Oh, fuck her.
We've called people slam pigs, so.
There we go. Thank you. Anna gets it.
No, I know. But I just mean she's, it's actresses aren't known for their like.
So annoying. I know, she's dumb. She's young and she's dumb. But maybe she'll learn. You know what? Whatever I called her, it worked.
She apologized.
She did a 180 after I attacked her, and she deserved it. You deserved it, my dear. Hopefully you'll grow up soon. You should listen to the Megyn Kelly Show. It will help you. So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country. Everyone who voted for Trump. I remember her words.
She hopes they know no peace.
Right.
Really,
and that Trump knows no peace. The man's already been almost assassinated twice, so maybe check the rhetoric. So I attacked her, and then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like I went too far, but it wasn't sincere because she's had a long history of saying woke, annoying things. Our new Snow White and my helpful team pulled this shot from just soundbite, sound on tape, SO.
Rachel Zegler seems to attract controversy wherever she goes, and this time it might be career-ending. Even Disney CEO Bob Iger appears to have had enough. With backlash from celebrities, fans, and political commentators piling up, her future looks uncertain. Her latest controversy stems from her explicit political comments after Donald Trump's 2024 re-election. On Instagram stories, she went on a tirade, calling Trump's victory another 4 years of hatred and claiming he was a threat to democracy. But it didn't stop there. In what some are calling career suicide, Zegler added, may Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace. Let that sink in. With one statement, she alienated half the country. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded with calls to boycott her projects. Parents vowed not to take their kids to see Snow White, and even Disney's loyal fans were outraged. One user commented, "Not taking my kids to see this trash. Disney, you need to do something about this." And Disney did. Reports suggest that Bob Iger personally intervened, canceling Zegler's scheduled appearances at major events like the Oscars and the Disney Holiday Parade.
Do you understand that having people buy tickets is an important part of success in your industry? Rachel Zegler, I guess, didn't get the memo. And it is actually so bad that Rachel Zegler decided to post a video of herself in a theater. Maybe I think she bought that ticket right there. And lo and behold, Rachel Zegler, who is not done posting else, and it is a remarkable, legendary.
Rachel Zegler filmed herself sitting in an empty theater watching Snow White, a movie that cost over $250 million and flopped at the box office. No fans, no buzz, just her, a few friends, and rows of empty seats. She smiled, clapped, and held a bouquet of flowers as if celebrating. But there was nothing to celebrate. After months of backlash, one of the most disliked trailers in Disney history, and scathing early reviews, Zegler is still pretending the movie isn't a disaster. She went to see it on Discount Tuesday with friends, who cheered her name when she appeared on screen. It's unclear if they rented out the theater or if no one else showed up, but the result was the same: silence. She later posted that she was proud to be in the #1 movie in the world, while theaters sat empty. People online called it delusional, narcissistic, and completely out of touch. Memes flooded the internet, making fun of the moment. The numbers tell the real story. Snow White made just $3.5 million in previews and $43 million in its opening weekend, far below expectations. Even The Little Mermaid made more than double that. Dumbo, considered a flop, performed better despite a smaller budget. Meanwhile, online screenshots showed empty seating charts across the country. Some users even joked about starting a GoFundMe to help Disney recover its losses, not out of sympathy, but because the numbers were that bad. It didn't help that the movie had already been embroiled in controversy. Critics called it too woke. Zegler's attitude in interviews caused backlash, and then came her political statements. After posting, "Always remember Free Palestine," Disney had to hire private security due to threats against co-star Gal Gadot. Disney was already struggling, and now their lead actress is posting selfies in empty theaters, seemingly unaware of how bad things have gotten. This remake was supposed to modernize Disney's first feature-length film, but instead, it became a cautionary tale. And Rachel Zegler is now the face of it.
This is for the movie? The light's still on, though. The light's still on, though.
This is still bad, bro.
What movie is this?
Bad. Snow White.
Is the movie playing or is that a commercial?
That's the you know, the lights on. This the preview. The lights are gonna be off if the movie was playing.
Well, she could have possibly been early.
7:15.
Man,
let's
Not 10 p.m. anymore.
Let's see.
7:15. That's prime time.
Let's see if this is happening.
7:15. It's on the day of.
Doesn't matter, does it? This is Saturday night.
If we give people what they need, people want more than that. Well, they'll learn that they have to change their behavior. Maybe their behavior is self-destructive. Maybe their behavior is just pure laziness. Maybe it's a lack of education.
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever. Okay, this is Snow White.
I never wanted to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Right. Every time that a celebrity gets like one DM that says KYS, they're like, I'm getting death threats. Someone save me, but not a prince. Don't.
Anybody but a prince.
Don't you dare save me.
She's like, I'm getting these death threats, and the cops were like, well, save yourself.
Like,
yeah, you're.
I saw that.
Aren't you?
I saw that interview. Save yourself. You'll be fine.
I did get paparazzi'd and it was terrifying.
No.
I was like in the woods in London and all of a sudden like a guy with a camera pops out and I'm like, what are you doing here? Snacks all over the set that are apple flavored. And that hurts my feelings.
I was gonna say,
It's like they don't know what happens to me. There's going to be so many stories that come from the set about how difficult I am to work with simply because I don't want apple.
Pay your writers, pay your actors.
Oh my God, Rachel Zegler, please shut up. You are single-handedly killing this movie that is already dead.
Have you ever seen a Hollywood star turn against their own fans? Well, that's exactly what's happening with Snow White star Rachel Zegler, and things are getting messy. Stay tuned as we break down how Zegler is blaming fans for her downfall, the massive financial losses she claims, and Disney's desperate efforts to salvage the Snow White remake. From PR nightmares to last-minute reshoots, this is a meltdown like no other. Is this the end of Zegler's career, or can Disney turn things around? If you enjoy staying updated on entertainment drama, don't forget to like and subscribe to Woke Informant for more updates.
Rumors are swirling around now that Disney is canceling the Snow White remake, or they're hiring a new actress to replace Rachel Zegler after backlash against the comments that she made about the movie.
Everybody remain calm. It's happening. Like we've been begging for months since she started doing interviews about Snow White. Disney officially fires Rachel Zegler.
Not to add fuel to the Rachel Zegler Oscar fiasco, but why did they have these women, all Disney princesses, all stated as Disney princesses, come out to present, but like not include Rachel Zegler, who's going to be Snow White? They're clearly acknowledging Disney princesses for movies that have not been released yet. Someone must have had this conversation and then they purposely left her out, even though she was the only one with a hit movie this year of the four. Did anyone else notice this, or am I overthinking?
After being unceremoniously dropped from Disney's Snow White remake and other high-profile projects, Rachel Zegler's public image has taken a nosedive. What started as a few questionable social media posts quickly spiraled into a full-blown PR disaster. Her once candid interviews are now being called tone-deaf and out of touch, sparking outrage not just from casual moviegoers, but even from Disney's most loyal fans. Instead of addressing the criticism, Zegler doubled down, making statements that have only fueled the backlash. She's painted herself as a victim while alienating the very audience that once supported her. The backlash has become so severe that many believe Disney had no choice but to cut ties, fearing even greater fallout from her increasingly divisive actions.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed of this because I chose a filter that made me look pink as hell. But you thought you did something. But you know what you really got? Embarrassed. Let me tell you something. Soy una latina orgullosa y tengo muchos privilegios porque tengo piel clara. But I will never try to bait people by pretending that I look different than I do. Shouldn't even have to explain myself, but go pick on someone else.
Rachel Zegler didn't just defend herself. She escalated the controversy by blaming Snow White's most dedicated fans for her career's collapse. In a shocking move, Zegler lashed out at her critics, labeling them as misogynists, sexists, and enemies of progress. Instead of acknowledging fan frustration, she dismissed all criticism as a targeted attack, further alienating the very audience Disney relies on. Even more surprising, insiders claim she's preparing a statement that will double down on this narrative, calling her detractors a loud, toxic minority. The audacity of this move has left many wondering if Zegler is deliberately provoking a boycott, almost daring fans to walk away from the film. With her PR in free fall, this scorched earth strategy could be disastrous, not just for her career, but for Disney's already struggling Snow White remake. Meanwhile, Bob Iger and Disney's leadership are in full panic mode, holding emergency meetings almost daily in a desperate attempt to salvage the film while distancing the company from Zegler's increasingly toxic reputation.
Why is Disney in a full-blown panic mode? With the cancellation of The Acolyte and record-breaking hits like Deadpool and Wolverine, Disney is scrambling to salvage its upcoming projects. But the real drama is unfolding with the Snow White live-action remake. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, two of Hollywood's biggest stars, are reportedly at odds, and insiders reveal that their feud could derail the film's marketing. Bob Iger is facing a tough decision: either force a reconciliation between these two actresses or scrap the film entirely just 7 months before its release. What's driving this chaos and what's at stake for Zegler, Godot, and Disney?
Rumors suggest Disney is in full damage control mode, terrified of the backlash surrounding Zegler. Some executives are even discussing ways to erase her involvement altogether. This isn't just about protecting Snow White anymore. This is survival mode for Disney. As Zegler continues to spark controversy, Iger's team is resorting to drastic measures. By quietly cutting ties with her, they hope to shield Disney from further fallout. But it's a delicate balancing act. If Disney pulls back too obviously, it will confirm the very disaster they're trying to avoid. On the other hand, if they don't act fast enough, the entire project, and possibly Bob Iger's leadership, could go down with Zegler's spiraling PR disaster. It's a race against time, and Disney's future might be hanging in the balance.
Doomed Snow White movie looks like the budget is going to come in just about $300 million. That is so much money for Disney to go out and spend on an absolute flop. Snow White is about to be another $150 million loss for Disney. Keep up the good work over there, Disney.
Who am I? And why do I exist? And who made me? And what am I expected to do with my life?
Girl, who is your publicist? Where is your team? Why is no one advising you? This is Rachel Zegler. She was cast to play Snow White in the Disney live-action film. Only thing is, she hates Snow White. She didn't like it. Oh, it's so scary. And it's not feminist enough for her, right? I don't need a prince to save me. I get it, Rachel. I really do. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she knows no prince is going to save her. She knows that. But this is Snow White. It's a fairy tale. We grew up on it. Like everything else that's old, maybe there are some issues, right? Women don't need saving anymore. Then why did you audition?
Let's talk money. Rachel Zegler has outright blamed fans for costing her a staggering $20 million in lost earnings. According to her, the backlash from her social media outbursts led to Disney distancing itself, resulting in a massive financial hit. But instead of taking responsibility, Zegler is doubling down, pointing fingers at her critics while ignoring how her own behavior played a role in her downfall. Meanwhile, Disney is wasting no time in phasing her out. They have replaced her with Gal Gadot for all major holiday performances, quietly removing Zegler from the spotlight. The fact that Disney made such a high-profile swap during the crucial holiday season speaks volumes. Zegler has become a liability rather than an asset. It's a humiliating fall from grace. And her continued attacks on fans are only making things worse. As if Zegler's PR catastrophe wasn't enough, Disney is struggling across multiple divisions. The Snow White remake has become a symbol of the company's broader crisis, facing costly reshoots, mounting fan backlash, and dwindling interest. Despite pouring millions into fixing the film, every attempt to revive it seems to backfire. Iger's cost-cutting strategy is failing, and even Disney's desperate last-minute efforts to save Snow White are falling flat. Fan outrage is only getting louder. Social media is flooded with criticism, and the future of the film looks increasingly grim. Can Disney pull off a last-minute miracle, or is this project doomed from the start? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed today's breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe to Woke Informant for more updates on the latest entertainment controversies. See you in the next one.
As you know, there will be so many new songs that are amazing by Oscar Award winners Pasek and Paul. But here for D23, we're going to show you the classics. Let's take a look.
One of the first background.
This Snow White drama didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's been a train wreck months in the making. Let's rewind to August 2024, when Disney dropped the teaser for their live-action Snow White remake on YouTube. You'd think that would have been a magical moment, right?
Wrong.
Instead of excitement, the trailer sparked outrage. Within weeks, it became the most disliked movie trailer in YouTube history, racking up nearly 1 million dislikes. Yes, you heard that right, 1 million dislikes. And remember, YouTube hides the dislike counter now, so people had to install browser extensions just to see how bad it was. Talk about dedication to roasting a movie. The stats were brutal, a whopping 96.3% dislike ratio. To put that into perspective, it's worse than most of the top 40 most hated videos in YouTube history. Even Suduk 2, which was widely considered a cinematic disaster, didn't flop this hard. Hollywood scooper WDW Pro didn't hold back in his review. He compared Snow White to roadkill, one of those things that's so bad you just can't help but slow down and stare. So what went wrong? Let's start with casting. When Rachel Zegler was announced as the new Snow White, people were cautiously optimistic. After all, she's a talented actress. But that optimism vanished faster than a poisoned apple bite once she started talking in interviews. She openly criticized the original 1937 animated classic, calling it extremely dated and claiming the prince was a creepy stalker. She even said Snow White wasn't dreaming about love anymore. She was dreaming about being a leader. Okay, sure, times change. But dismissing a beloved classic that millions grew up with? That's where things went south for a lot of fans. But wait, it gets better. Disney didn't just stop with a polarizing casting choice. They replaced the iconic Seven Dwarfs with a group of diverse magical creatures. The internet was not having it. Actors with dwarfism called out Disney for excluding them, saying this move was anything but progressive. And the CGI creatures Disney used instead? Let's just say they looked more lifeless than a poisoned Snow White. Fans were left scratching their heads, wondering how a live-action remake could feel less authentic than a cartoon from 1937. And the comments? Brutal. One user wrote, "I only came here to be part of the million dislikes club." Another joked, "Disney spent $29 million just to make me laugh at how bad this is." It wasn't just disappointment, it was mockery. Fans weren't just criticizing the trailer. They were roasting Disney itself for losing touch with its audience.
Every day on Snow White was a pinch me moment. I was surrounded by the best crew and the best people ever. And even just getting to see our director, Mark, today was just like, oh, right. We made a movie and it's really wonderful and it's yummy and it feels really delicious in my heart.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good.
Yes! Yay!
I feel like between West Side Story, Hunger Games, Shazam, Snow White, are you resting?
No. No, I went right off of this, right off Snow White, right to Poland to film Hunger Games. It was literally like wrap on Wednesday, start shooting Hunger Games on Thursday. I haven't slept in a very long time, but yeah. You know.
Have you had the moment to even soak in like Snow White is happening?
Well, that was the thing. I think that's why I cried today on stage, is because it was like, oh, I didn't get to grieve the project, first of all. When you wrap something, like, there's a grieving process that I did not have. And then I went right on to the next thing. But every day on Snow White was a pinch me moment. I was surrounded by the best crew and the best people ever. And even just getting to see our director, Mark, today was just like, oh, right. We made a movie and it's really wonderful and it's yummy and it feels really delicious in my heart.
And you look fantastic. And obviously there's, you know, the set photos, but then there's like the final product.
Yeah.
How did you react when you saw that?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
We were backstage and we weren't allowed to watch.
Guys, it is chaos here, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I could not. I wasn't. We haven't seen it. I have no idea what everybody.
You look great.
Thank you so much. Everybody was screaming, and I was like, "Oh, it must be good." Yeah.
That's a good response.
The logo looks great. Can't wait to see the logo. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Fans are growing more concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press. Rachel Zegler has been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney. We've heard her bag the classic story before, but there's more. There's always more. Let's have a listen.
I mean, you know,
it's wonderful, and whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
This is starting to sound nothing like Snow White. They've just got a character named Snow White, but the story seems to be entirely different. Joining me now to discuss Disney seemingly destroying another classic is Turning Point USA contributor Erin Elmore. Erin, we've heard these comments from the actress playing Snow White, who seems to have contempt for the original story and character.
Now, let's talk about Rachel Zegler. Instead of calming the storm, she poured gasoline on it. In another interview, she admitted that as a kid, the original Snow White scared her so much that she avoided it for over a decade. She even said the new version would redefine fairest of them all, to focus on justice instead of beauty. Some fans called this a modern twist, but for most, it felt like she was stomping all over a cherished classic. And her tone? It came across as condescending and dismissive, like she didn't even like the story she was supposed to represent. The backlash wasn't just online. TikTok exploded with users comparing Zegler's comments to Halle Bailey's respectful approach in The Little Mermaid. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. Disney found a way to cast someone for Snow White whose entire personality is, "I hate Snow White." Ouch. Even Disney's attempts to fix the damage backfired. They sent Zegler on a press tour, but her backtracking felt insincere. Fans weren't buying it. And when leaked photos of the new Seven Dwarfs surfaced online, it only added more fuel to the fire. At one point, people were openly rooting for the evil queen over Snow White. Things got so bad that Disney pulled down a second teaser trailer after it started racking up more dislikes. This only fueled more speculation and criticism. Some former Disney Imagineers have even suggested skipping theaters altogether and dumping the movie straight onto Disney Plus just to avoid further embarrassment. Can you imagine? A Snow White movie so controversial that even Disney seems to be losing faith in it. That brings us to today, where Joe Rogan couldn't resist jumping into the chaos. And let's just say, his take was as brutally honest as you'd expect. But before we get to Rogan's fiery response, let's take a closer look at why Rachel Zegler's comments and Disney's decisions have turned this movie into a lightning rod for controversy.
When you leave this scene, I turned to the camera, I was like, "Gal's mad." But then you were FaceTiming your kids right after. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. I had no idea what I was auditioning for when I auditioned. So it's a kind of a hilarious question to say, what drew you to the material? Is that, I didn't realize that I was reading lines with Dopey. It said, Jess and Amy were reading lines. And then our director, Mark Webb, on Zoom was like, and then Dopey's gonna look at you and whistle. And I took a pause and realized what I was auditioning for. And then it became I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. But it was very sweet. And it was a very short audition process for me. I did one more screen test and then it was just so exciting from the word-go. And Mark is so excited about the material because he has a young daughter and he really wanted to make a movie for her and for his younger son. And I feel like he did just that. And that was really special to be part of. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film. I mean, this girl is a whole, she can dance, she can sing for real, she can act, she can do it all. We always joke that it was a Sandy Powell film directed by Mark Webb because particularly when it comes to gals' costumes. I was in that workshop just watching them beat Bills all the time, and it's just the most incredible.
The updated Snow White isn't dreaming of her prince anymore. Nope. She's dreaming of becoming a leader. And fairest of them all? Forget beauty. That's now about justice. On paper, this might sound empowering, but for many fans, it felt like Disney was stripping away what made Snow White magical. The character they loved was gentle and kind, qualities that didn't need to be replaced to make her strong. Instead, Zegler's version felt brash and unrecognizable. The backlash wasn't just about change, it was about the tone. Fans felt like they were being scolded for liking the classic Snow White. And Zegler's interviews didn't help. Her comments about being scared of the original movie and avoiding it for years made people question why she even took the role in the first place. It didn't feel like she was embracing the story. It felt like she was tearing it apart. Then came the social media explosion. TikTok and Twitter became battlegrounds. One TikTok user summed it up perfectly. Rachel Zegler sounds like she hates Snow White more than the evil queen does. Another viral post compared Zegler's approach to Halle Bailey's handling of The Little Mermaid. Bailey talked about her love for Ariel and the original movie, even while putting her own spin on the character. Zegler? Not so much. And then there were the memes. Oh, the memes. Zegler's interviews became fodder for jokes, with people mocking her justice over beauty comment. One creator even joked, "So now the magic mirror is going to say, Snow White, you're not the fairest, but you do fight for equal pay." The internet remains undefeated. Her comments also seem to alienate Disney's core audience, parents who grew up loving the original. They didn't see the harm in a classic tale of love and kindness. For them, Zegler's version wasn't a modernization, it was an erasure. Instead of bringing something fresh to the table, it felt like she was telling fans that what they loved was wrong. Zegler's remarks weren't just a PR nightmare for herself. They were a disaster for Disney. The controversy around her comments overshadowed everything else about the film. Even before the movie hit theaters, it was buried under a mountain of bad press. And the more Zegler spoke, the worse it got. Fans weren't just angry. They were actively rooting against the movie. That's a rough spot for any studio to be in, especially for a story as iconic as Snow White. Rachel Zegler may have thought she was bringing a fresh perspective to the character, but instead, she became a lightning rod for criticism. Her words struck a nerve with fans who felt like their childhood memories were being dismissed. And the internet made sure she knew it. What do you think?